Hey SMB Capital and Jeff Holden. My name is Roston Smith, and this is going to be my playbook recap for my short pre-market highs setup. This is a trade I took on Friday, which was June 17th. We'll jump into it here. All right, so quick disclaimer. I am not currently affiliated with SMB Capital. This is just for documentation purposes. I'm packaging this up and sending it off to Jeff. I do not represent SMB Capital in any way. All right, so macro market perspective on the SPY. This chart dates to the end of March heading into the current times. So if you look on the daily chart here on the left, you can see we have a clear downtrend, okay? We've been downtrading this entire time. Significant levels of supply is going to be at that 4,300 double top and the 4,200 lower high here. Keep that in mind. I use those as references on the NQ. And here on the ES, you'll see that we had the Wednesday FOMC announcement, okay? Overall, positive response, ramping to the close, even after hours, just up and up and up. It looks great, trapped all the longs. Thursday, dumped it back, broke the prior lows of the previous 2 days, or let's just say recent lows on the ES. Closed, weak, right? Heading into today, small gap up, where we're still sitting just over that 36.42 high, or higher low, or low on the ES. And then today, we have a higher low for now, heading into the open, okay? So on the Qs, that 4,300 double top supply on the ES, that's the reference here for 13.5 on the Qs. Lower high here is 13,000. That's reference for 4,200 on the ES. So you can see the same lower high pattern, broke the lows, same thing. Essentially very similar chart, not too many differences. The main thing to keep in mind is on the Qs, same thing. We're just a little over the prior day's lows, setting up for potential downside confirmation and a daily downtrend since late March, okay? The VIX, ascending wedge formation. We've been seeing consistent higher lows on the way up. This is important to recognize because of the fact that since we've seen these higher lows, there is potential, especially now that we saw, bad CPI, the numbers just keep getting worse and worse. FOMC trapped all the longs Wednesday, or trapped all the longs Thursday, and we're opening up here Friday into a long holiday weekend. I can see the market rolling over very easily as people take off stocks into headline risk. The VIX is set up for a potential wedge, upside breakout over that $35 level. We're seeing all these higher lows. The volatility has remained high. There's a lot of potential here for the daily downside confirmation, especially given the technicals on Tesla at 625, right? So we got a high VIX, we've got bad numbers, we've got an extended weekend heading into Friday. There's a lot of potential here for things to roll. That's why I really like the pre-market high setup. So here's statistics of the stock. Tesla did open green. It ramped up into the open pre-market, but for the majority of pre-market and the majority of beta, they were all red and opened red. We'll jump through those charts though. But some of them did have that pop up into green heading into the open. Technically, yes, Tesla's a gap up, even though it didn't really seem like it pre-market. I got the 52-week range, daily RSI. Note on the daily RSI is that it is only 38. There are other beta names that are a lot lower in the 32, 33s. Tesla certainly has room to the downside. It's not too overextended the downside yet, right? Also take a look at the average trading range over the past 60 days and also the previous day's range, right around that 50-point mark. This is important to note that my entry and target were very realistic given the average range of Tesla. And if you look at the above average ranges, especially on significant daily chart breakups or breakdowns, I had a lot of potential for room on this move and a very tight stop. Institutional ownership's in there at 43.2. You got the share float, and I think that's pretty much it for the main things that I'm focusing on. Bigger picture on the stock, Catalyst. This is a PR that came out early morning on Friday. Essentially, on Thursday, Tesla had been going through sweeping layoffs across the company in the sales and delivery departments. So that hints a lot towards what their thoughts are for the future. And this is just, piggybacking off of the CPI and FOMC, so inflation numbers. So basically, bad news. Very, very bad. There's a lot of reasons for this to act as a negative catalyst today, especially since this is following that bearish reaction of the long side trap I talked about on Wednesday. Wednesday during this early session and the after hours on Wednesday. So ES and NQ weakness pre-market as both indices roll reg, along with beta moving closer or lower heading into 9, 10 a.m. I talked about that a little bit. Beta's weak here pre-market, and that 625 line in the sand for significant daily continuation. It has potential for that on Tesla. That's a bigger picture on Tesla. Intraday Fundamentals, pre-market supply is on 650 clear and evident, and I'm looking for that rally after the open as to use that as a risk reward supply to go ahead and get short, looking for lower. With the ES red, with beta heavy, I'd like to see ES, it sold down to the open. I'd like to see it open, rip up, into supply, the VWAP supply, reject the VWAP supply, and then head lower. And I expect Tesla, because most of these stocks follow the ES, I'd like it to essentially mirror that, except with the VWAP on ES equating with 650 on Tesla. So both the ES and Tesla would be at supply at the same time. That's what I'm looking for. All beta underneath pre-market supply and or prior days, trap longs likely looking for the break-even sell. So another reason for that VWAP to act as an area of rejection is because all the people that got trapped on Thursday after FOMC are likely going to try and sell that open or just sell for break-even depending on how high we get. I'll go into that on the charts. So my strategy, entry, I'm looking for the opening parabolic into 650 supply for a one put entry on Tesla. And I'll look for ES moving to VWAP. My risk is going to be on the 650 resistance break and hold. Profit target is going to be, ideally, if we flush straight out to 620, I'd probably take it and add it back on a pop back to the upside. But ideally, we see a reject that 650, pull back below VWAP, bounce to retest VWAP, add a contract, roll lower, and then I can scale accordingly towards that 600 move. Again, the average trading range is 50 points, so we could see a pretty significant downside move today. Yep, and add on VWAP flush for bounce and reject. So that is my playbook setup, short pre-market highs. So chart and trade management. Here I got the 180-day 4-hour chart on the Tesla, and you can see just consistent lower highs here on the 4-hour with that significant support. We got a 615.5 low, and then here was a 640, broke that into 620, roughly 625 area. So if we got below this area, it's pretty quick yank down to 600. Moving in here on Tesla, this is the 1 day, 1 minute, heading on into Friday. You can see the clear support here, clear resistance here on 650 on Tesla. We get a weakness pre-open, and then we, of course, ramp to the open, just barely open green, right? Just barely open green. But for all intents and purposes, this weakness here, after getting that PR about the Tesla layoffs, could act as a high potential catalyst for a move lower. And that 650 is a significant supply area. So my entry here was on a move up into 650. I got short, well not short, but I got long the 600 strike puts for next week, so 7 days till expiration. I got long them at 648.50. That was the price of the stock, roughly where I got in. We pulled back to VWAP, ramped back up, touched 650, pushed through it, had that first pullback, went ahead and took it out. Very strong move through here. Then initially here you can see the difference between the lack of bids on the level 2, which I'll show you, and the significant ask. And then this ramp up, the size we saw on the bids on everything over every level over 650. There was size on those looking for that pullback. Didn't even quite get it. I'm glad I went ahead and took it off and kept moving. So reading the tape, I'm going to pull up the video here of the tape. So I'm going to go ahead and start playing here. As you can see, we're heading into the, we have the market open here. Tesla's opened up down here around that 640, pushed straight up higher towards that 648, and we're getting close to my ideal entry into 650 supply. ES, you'll see I'll have the VWAP will pop up here, and you'll see that's getting close to that VWAP, that 3694 VWAP I talked about. So I'm going ahead and hit play. Go ahead and play this. Okay. So you see ES is coming up into VWAP. Make sure I'm not going too quick. Yeah. It's testing it right now. We're playing at half speed, 3690. I'm watching Tesla, back to full speed. Watching Tesla, and you'll hear my order fill when we get this pop up towards 650. ES is testing VWAP now.
Order filled.
All right, my order was filled there. I got short, and you'll see the tape there, the chart really catch up here in just about 1 second. And so note here on the ask, I froze it here. Note the bids pretty thin, the ask stacked, especially once we get over 649. Keep that in mind, hitting play. All right, so I'm already filled on my puts. Notice here that the bid is thin on the level 2, ask stacked. Okay, we rejected initially. Now here I'm going to speed it up a little bit. At no point in time are you really seeing that bid stack, right? Not anywhere near that 649 level. A little bit here at that 647, but not near that 649. And you can see it, the bid's thinned out again. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit. We're at 2 times speed now. And that was a successful reject. Now we're down about, 2 points, 2.5 points for my entry. And we're moving down. I'm going to speed this up 4 times speed here. And you'll see one thing to note here, ES is pausing The ES is pausing on VWAP, but now it's almost looking like it kind of wants to base. But I'm really watching Tesla because Tesla is kind of front running the SPY pullback if SPY is going to pull back. And I'm looking for that. As long as that 650 holds, we are still in play. I just got that one contract on. Now Tesla's seeing some more downside. Kind of foreshadowed that ES pullback a little bit. Okay. And right now looking good, pulling back into VWAP. I want to see us flush VWAP. And one thing I noticed is SPY hasn't really gone anywhere yet. If SPY were to pull back to that 3680, so we were dropped 5, 6, 7 points, Tesla should technically be heading like right on 640, about to roll red. And once that happens, things get sketchy. I know that as soon as the ES goes red, a lot of people are going to start freaking out because of the sentiment we had the prior day, because of the 650 technical reject on Tesla, because of it being below VWAP, that strong red to green or green to red catalyst, and the potential for ES to hit 3600. Going to keep playing. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit. All right. I think I might click through just to speed it up for you guys. I don't want to waste your time. Let me jump forward here. So essentially what ends up happening is Tesla does flush down through VWAP. This is nice. I'm up decently here on the trade. Give my entry. Essentially almost top tick that entry. ES did not get continuation to the pullback, right? This would have been a better play to go ahead and just scalp. But I was really looking for larger continuation. And there's a lot of potential for that today given the catalyst and where the market was at. So now we see Tesla start to squeeze up. Now what's important here, look at this size here on the 647, right? 647 there on the ask on Tesla. Gonna go ahead and play. Boom, gone. Just swiped it just like that. Just like that. Now we're moving quick up here. So now I'm watching very closely. Let's see how we test this 650. A lot of times you can see it wick 650 real quick and then dump it right away. So I wanted to be a little bit patient. The issue with that is with the options, it's very difficult to go ahead and just take that market exit because of the spreads. In this situation, I did have that half size on. I wanted to see how did it base over 650. And as soon as it saw that continuation to the upside and got a little bit of a pullback, I went ahead and took it out there for the stop. But as you can see, once we got over this 650 level, size on the 651, and the size on the ask is just getting eaten up, right? Eaten up. At this point, I had limits out. To go ahead and stop, but it didn't even give much of a pullback until after we had rejected that 655, and I was able to get out. Going to keep playing here. Let me jump forward a little bit. There we go. So on that pullback, back when we pulled back down here into the 653, that's where I took my stop because we based over the 650. And that's pretty much it. As you can see after that, we continue to rip higher. There was consistent strength in the bids all the way over 650, right? We didn't even get back close to back retesting that 650. So that is the tape portion. Okay, so improvements. AMD turned out to be the only beta that respected pre-market highs initially. I went back and checked every chart. Every single name poked through those pre-market highs on Friday and either held around there, chopped, and rolled lower, or got a little spike up, kind of like what Tesla did, a spike over the pre-market highs, and then gave it all back later in the day. AMD is the only one that had the perfect pre-market high short setup on a very weak-looking day heading into Friday, right? Entry, great entry just under the 648.50 and could have scalped the initial move to VWAP. So I, had 6 points on Tesla, right, before it came back and then ramped higher. Management, hard stop on 650 would have been faster and easier. I always look back at trades like this and I say, I just would have, if I would have had stock, I could have just set that hard stop and then not even worried about it, right? It makes it a little bit easier to get out. With options, trying to beat the spread and take the limit exit. It's not preferable. But exit could have been sooner. That's essentially, as far as improvements, I really love the trade. I really love the setup. I love the fundamental side that really pushed forth my idea on the setup. The issue with the trade being that just didn't work out this time, but everything lined up from a technical perspective. It was looking pretty good. And it was just normal sizing. I had a half size entry, one contract on 650. If we would have got below VWAP and then bounced, I would have been able to get another ad there on a full size and then rode those and I moved to 600, even 615 would have been pretty sweet. pretty sweet on the profits there. So that is it for my trade recap. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'll have my description or my contact information on the screen in the description box below. And expect many more of these to come. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Have a great day.